Good afternoon and welcome. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes with Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, and I'd like to welcome you to our broadcast this afternoon. I'm going to start us off by sharing a little bit about who we are for those of you who might be new and have not been with us before. As soon as I find my little slide here. There we go. Here's our welcome slide. So we at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, we are just one of over 300 centers that are found all over the world, most of them in the United States. And we share a common mission and vision, which I will tell you later. But these are the things that we value at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, which is where we are in Central Florida. And the first thing on our list, as you can see, is spiritual growth and practice. The next thing that we value is love. We believe that love is where we come from, and love is the essence of our being. And so it is at the top of our list there, along with appreciation. What we value and what we give thanks for, what we appreciate, appreciates. So we value appreciation. And we value community, that gathering of knowing that we are part of a larger whole. We value freedom, and we value also creativity, health and wholeness, financial well-being, and generosity. And our mission at CSL Ocala is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence, and our vision is a world that works for everyone. And so it is a holiday weekend. And just like every Sunday, there are always these fun little things that happen as we're getting ready to sign on. And today is no different. Another little situation in that our primary guest speaker can't seem to get onto the platform. She's having some technical difficulties. So if you will just keep her, keep us, and keep her in your thoughts and love and light, and hopefully she'll be able to join us. But in the meantime, I am going to start us with the prayer. And I'm doing the prayer today because Donna and Norma, our practitioners, are out celebrating Norma's birthday. And so they're having a great time and having a day off. Don't we all need a day off, especially on a holiday weekend? So I'm going to just go ahead and pray us in, and then I will bring in Corinne Dean. And hopefully I'll be bringing in our guest, Jeanne Henningsen. If not, that will have to happen another Sunday. So for now, I think I need this more than maybe even you do, right? So take a deep breath. I'm going to breathe in and just let go of everything that has come before this moment and anything that is to come after. And just be present here and now, and know that the power and presence that runs in, around, and through all things is here now. And knowing that everything is unfolding in its perfect and right divine order. There's no place to be, there's nothing to do, just to be in this moment, present here right now. And so I breathe again and relax into the moment and give thanks for spirit in every way that it shows up and every way that it doesn't show up. And I give thanks for knowing that what needs to be said here is said, that what needs to be heard is heard, that hearts are opened and minds are opened, and that the conversation that we have today is one that uplifts and informs and inspires all who listen. And so I release these words with gratitude and with joy and with great expectation for whatever is to come this afternoon. And I release these words knowing that it is already done. And so it is. So let me bring Corinne. Hey, Corinne.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing?
Good, doing well. I am talking to everyone here from Miami, Florida. I'm at my father's house down here in Coral Gables. And Yes, I'm in my stepmom's office, so it's kind of fun. Got all sorts of memorabilia surrounding me, so it's fun.
Wonderful. Yes, you said that we might see some pictures of you back there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe somewhere. Yeah, yeah. That's good.
Oh, thank you for joining us on this holiday weekend, Corinne. I so appreciate
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Were we able to get, is
it.
is
It
Jeanne able
doesn't,
to make it?
I don't know. It's not looking like Jean is going to be here. So I don't know. We'll see. Oh, here
Maybe
she
she'll
is.
pop in. Oh,
Look at
yay.
that.
Yay.
Okay, so this introduction, I'm just going to bring you on in before you disappear again. Yep, there we
Yes,
go.
don't
Jeanne
grab her while she's
Henningsen.
there.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi, so good to see you.
So good to see you guys. Is the lighting
Yeah.
okay? I know I got my calendar here with the light coming in from the window, but
It's our,
Yeah,
it's
I've
not
got,
great, but it'll do.
okay, awesome.
Don't go away from the camera.
yeah, don't breathe too hard, Jeanne.
Yeah.
Lose you.
Oh my goodness. So I didn't really even get to introduce you, but
That's okay.
so let me go over a little bit for I don't know if there are people watching for the first time, but they might be. So this month with Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, we are talking about the third part of See No Stranger, which is a book by Valerie Kaur, a Sikh woman who has created this whole curriculum around this idea of seeing no stranger. You know, in other words, loving everyone as if they were a part of our own family or a part of ourselves. And that means other people, that means even people that look like opponents. And so that's what makes it revolutionary, right? It's,
Yes.
we can all love the people that are close to us. It's a little bit harder sometimes to love the people that are a little further out of the circle.
Mhm.
So anyway, I say all of that to say why I invited Jeanne to be here and have this conversation, because today specifically we're talking about the idea of fighting as part of this spiritual program of this revolutionary love. And the idea of fighting is not something that you hear of typically in a spiritual program. And Jeanne was the first person I thought of, and not because Jeanne is a violent person. I don't want to get
I was going to say, I'm
that.
not sure that's a compliment.
Jeanne's not that kind of fighter. But Jeanne and I met, I guess it was a speaking engagement. I don't even know how many years ago now.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. So we connected on that level. And then Jeanne had this amazing idea to start a nonprofit organization called Ignite for
Yeah,
Ocala.
except that we're not a nonprofit.
Okay. Just a fundraising
Yes.
organization.
Yes.
Gotcha. And the purpose of that was to raise funds for our local domestic violence shelter.
That was the
And
original purpose. Yes.
yes. And now I know it's much broader, right? To
Yes.
create safe and loving community
Exactly.
where we live. So again, that idea of nonviolent stepping up on behalf of other people. You stepped up in a leadership capacity in an area that needed it. And so I just have always admired that and appreciated that. And I wanted you to come on board and speak about it. And so another little thing I just want to make clear, you're not actually a member of Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, but a member of our larger community that is a leader in our community. And so I'm grateful to have you here as a friend and as someone that I admire and respect, and a mutual friend of Corinne and I. So
Yes. Yes.
Conversation.
I always love chatting with both of you. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah. So
Yes, I'm
thank you
looking
for
forward to
saying
it.
yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought with that, I'm just going to open it to you, Jeanne, for just a little bit and say, and ask you to share with our viewers, what is it that moved you to start the organization?
Yes. And that's a very good question, and one that I get asked a lot. So I think before you decide that you're going to step forward and, as Valerie says, fight. I prefer not to use that word. Even after watching her TED Talk and reading some of her work, that word still does not sit right for me. And I think it's because fight is resistance. And when you say the word fight, that's where people go. People think of violence. And so in our little talk here, we can use the word fight because we have a collective understanding of what that means. But I would not use the word fight in talking about Ignite or anything, that I'm doing. So I'm just going to say that the fight that kind of rose up, and I think there has to be something, right? There has to be a passion. There has to be. And this is why Ignite, why I ended up using that term, it literally was a spark. It was a flame that grew inside of me as I repeatedly was hearing about women and children who were being turned away from our local shelter because there wasn't enough room. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those situations where, you get a little whisper, you get a light little knock, and then it's a louder knock. It's a louder message calling. And then finally, I felt like God was screaming at me, like, come on, do something. And I knew I couldn't ignore it. And there were they happened to be women in the community who felt the same way I did. And they wanted to do something also. So that's when Ignite was born. And I've intentionally not made it a nonprofit because of everything that goes into creating a nonprofit. I wanted to focus on what me and my committee did best, which was help raise funds and raise awareness. And that's what we do. We raise funds and we raise awareness. But yes, it was born from that spark, that flame within me, and I knew that I had to take action.
Mm-hmm. And was there a reason that there's so many causes out there, right? I mean,
yes,
if we can get upset, or we can be pulled in so many different directions, right?
Yes.
Why specifically that one, do you think?
Because I was one of them. I was one of these women who had to flee a domestic violent situation. I had a place to go. So when I'm hearing about women and children, I didn't have a child. That would have made it so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear about this and it really resonates with you, I could feel their pain. And I cannot imagine not having a place to go. And that's when I knew something's got to be done. That this is not acceptable.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. You know what I'm going to put up here? I don't think I have shared this before, but what Valerie calls fight, how she defines it.
Yes.
And she says that to fight is to tap into your sense of agency, to protect yourself and others. The fight impulse is ancient and it is fundamental. And I think the next sentence says it's biological, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in that, we all have that fight, flight, freeze. Something happens.
Yes.
Fight, flight, freeze. It's inside of us, So we take that and kind of, direct it. Right? Direct it. It doesn't have to come out in anger, but it causes that fire inside of you that says, I can't just sit and not do anything about it. I
right.
Step
right.
up.
Yes, exactly. And I knew that I had to do something, and I had no idea. Okay, let me just make that completely clear. I was clueless. I had no idea how I was going to do this. I just thought, I'm obviously being called to do this. I'm going to trust in the process, and I'm just going to do it. And you just do. You just take the next step and the next step and the next step. And then before I knew it, we were creating this fundraising luncheon and getting sponsors and the awareness, you know, what it's not just about the fundraising. And I know she talks about your sword, you know, what do you use? What gifts do you use? And it really is not just about going out and getting money so we could help them renovate their center and eventually add 58 beds. They ended up adding, which was wonderful and a huge success that we're very proud of. It's also the awareness, because so many people did not realize that this was happening. And the other thing about domestic violence is a lot of people tend to turn away. And, you know, Valerie talks about that, well, you don't look like me, you don't sound like me, you are not the same person as me, so I'm just going to turn away from you, right? And I'm not going to focus on you. And there's all kinds of reasons why people choose to do that. But I think that's what was happening with domestic violence, is there are some people that blame it on the victim. Well, it's your fault. You got yourself in it, get yourself out of it. Or they stereotype and they say, well, you're from that side of the track, so to speak, and I have no use for people like you. So you just need to figure out your own problems and I'm not going to help you. You know, and then there's other people that it's just fear. Well, I don't want to look at that, because if I look at that, then I have to admit that there's a problem. Right. So then you choose not to look at it. You know, there's lots of different reasons, but we wanted to essentially get in their face and say, this is a real issue in our community. It's a real problem and we need to do something.
Yeah. And thank you so much. Thank you for doing that, Jeanne.
Yes, I've enjoyed every moment, you know, and what they say about when you give to others, you give tenfold back. It is so true. It is so true that this has not felt like a sacrifice. It has not felt like something that depletes me. I mean, not at all. I get filled up by it. I get energized by it. And I've gotten more out of it. Honestly, I really believe that, than what the people that I've chosen to serve have gotten out of it. I mean, I really feel like it's been an incredible gift to myself.
Beautiful. Thank you.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. And I love that you said that a big part of it is awareness, not just fundraising. I know I've been to those luncheons for Ignite, and you hear the stories.
Yes.
And you know, you think, wow. And I believe one of the stories was there was a police officer.
Yes.
And she told her story. And you would think, well, of course it wouldn't happen to her. She's a police officer. And it did. And that was amazing, because you think, if it can happen to her, it could happen to anyone.
Yes.
It really can. So there's no stereotype, but I think there is. People think there is a stereotype.
Absolutely.
of women. I mean, there are all income levels, any type of like ethnic group. I mean, it happens everywhere. So that awareness, to me, I think Ignite has done such a fantastic job. And what it does is it gives hope to other women, you know, that a lot of people think, again, you know, defining fight. What does it mean to fight? You know, do you get out there and, you know, take charge or start a fundraising campaign? Sometimes just telling your story is you're fighting for someone else. Just to share very quickly, I have a good friend of mine that was terribly, went through some terrible abuse at the hand of her husband, now ex-husband, and she ended up going to court, and so it went into the papers, and she was mortified that now everyone knew her story. But the letters that she got from women saying, oh my gosh, hearing what you went through, and you fought for your freedom, or however they put it, inspired so many people. So whether she was willing or she did not intentionally go in to fight for anyone else other than her own freedom, but essentially that's what she did. She helped so many people.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to tell your story. You
Yeah.
have to, because when you do that, you inspire and you
Yeah.
empower others. You really
Exactly.
do. And you have to do that. And when that police officer stepped forward that day, when she got on stage in her uniform and started
Yes.
talking about this domestic violence case and what happened to this woman, everyone thought that she was there as a police officer talking about someone she helped. And it wasn't until the very end that she said, the person I'm talking about is me.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was an audible gasp in the room. And that's what made it so powerful, is that
Yes.
people assumed that she was talking about someone she helped rather than herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was amazing. Definitely one of our better stories. And now that we've had the opportunity to serve the domestic violence shelter, we expanded our focus and we helped a Kimberly Center, which is a local shelter. Well, actually, they're not a shelter because they don't sleep there, but it's for children. It focuses on advocating for children who are in domestic violence situations. And that was incredible to be part of that organization. And as you said, Cindy, our mission is to create a safe and loving community. And this past year, going through this pandemic and having so many of our local nonprofits hurt because they weren't able to go out and have the fundraising that they would normally do, we wanted to expand our reach. And so now we still focus on local nonprofits, but we really want to focus on those that not just need our help financially, but also need help getting their message out there.
Yeah.
So, that's a great segue to Corinne. Maybe Corinne, you want to talk a little bit about the nonprofit you're involved in, and how,
Which nonprofit is that?
or in the process of.
And how what you were
Well,
putting
I
the
was saying,
second part to that.
well, and really, what was your spark, to be involved in the work that you and I do? If people watch, they have seen this before, but there may be
They're
some who
like,
have not heard this.
yeah, like, oh, they're going to talk about peace building. Well, peace building, and actually, what Jeanne does is peace building. When you bring awareness and you change people's lives and show that there is another way, that when you give people a voice, that's peace building, because to have justice, when you bring justice to people, that's a form of peace building. There's so many ways to do it, and for me it was communication. That was my big drive, is to show that so many instances of conflict really are from lack of communication, or proper communication, right relationship, right communication. And that is what inspired me to get to go into the peace building world. And so Cindy and I do that. And I know, and my story was, oh gosh, I don't know, there's all sorts of aspects I could take here, but I just found, just through all my years and not being a very good communicator, very, very shy, kind of growing up, broken home, all of these things, never spoke, and you don't get a lot done without a voice. And I learned to find my voice. One way I did that was when my fight for me, coming from my family, my two sisters. I had an older sister, I had a younger sister. And when my parents got divorced, my little sister was 2, I was 6. And I learned that my little sister and I I had to fight for her, not necessarily myself, as much as I had to fight for her, to give her a voice. And eventually I was able to find my own voice, but not until recently. I will thank Toastmasters for that, for finding my own voice. But you have to be able to have a voice, and peace building is, so that's just one aspect. There's many aspects to peace building, and the communication, and having a voice, and having a voice for other people that don't necessarily have a voice. And that's what you do, Jeanne. You give a voice to a lot of these women who, it's a beautiful thing. And you know, it just brings justice into our community, and it brings peace. It helps conflict, and awareness is a huge part of that. And then right communication is a big part of it.
Beautiful.
So I'm not sure if that's the answer you were looking for, Cindy, but
actually it is, because I just always think about that speech, and I only know you as the Corinne, you know, that I know now. I can't imagine a Corinne that didn't speak. And so I just think it's so beautiful to see, you know, your evolution and how you use your pain as well to expand yourself and to pave a road for others. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So and that really, I mean, that leads really well into the next part of the conversation that I wanted to have, which Valerie talks about is we take this word fight, you know, a nonviolent, that we need three things. We need our metaphorical, you know, sword. What is it that you're going out there with? You also need your protection. So you need your shield, you need your sword, your shield. And then there's the people that have your back.
Yeah.
And so that's what I wanted for us to, you know, just talk about that a little bit, because it looks different for everybody, right? We all have a different sword. We all have a different shield. And for people to get ideas for themselves, if there is an area in their life where they're feeling that urge to do something, you know, there's an ache, there's a pain, there's like, I can't stand to see that anymore. There's something I have to do. But how do we do that effectively? So that's where I want to go next. And I don't know which one of you want to take that one on.
You go, Jeanne, you're the guest.
Okay. Yeah, I really like the analogy of the sword and the shield. I think that's really powerful. And my sword initially, my passion was to help these women and children that had no place to go, because thankfully I did. And that really set me up and put me on a path that I was able to heal, right? And the longer they stay in those situations, then the harder that path is and the longer that it takes. So that was the initial sword. And now that it's broadened and I have a team of people that work with me, it's a collective sword, our passion. It's collective because we now accept applications from nonprofits, and we review those as a group, and we decide which one do we want to choose to gift with our talents and our ability to raise money and raise awareness. So it really is more of a collective sword, but we write about it, we talk about it, and we raise money. So those were some examples that Valerie gave for swords. So those would definitely be our swords. Do you want me to talk about the shield too, or should we hear about Corinne's sword?
Okay, about Corinne.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess you could say the sword would be the sword of education. One thing that we do with Circle Up is we do classes on social emotional learning, or social emotional intelligence and self-awareness. And what's interesting is seeing the people that take these different courses that we do and seeing the revelation that they have about themselves. It's like we are arming them with their own sword now, because now they have this, I'm going to call it the sword of self-awareness, because when you understand yourself and you learn to have compassion on yourself, suddenly it just opens the door to now understanding the other and having compassion for that other. So when you understand what your triggers are or what your passions are, and you really understand why you react the way you react, it just helps you understand the other person. Like you could look at someone who you would consider your enemy, and suddenly when you look at them with a compassionate eye and you know that they are human just like, just like me. This person is human, just like me. This person has fears and regrets just like me, and this person wants to be loved just like me. That is an incredibly powerful thing. I know my, what would be the word, my instinct to fight, the fight or flight instinct now is now, you know what, instead of fight, I am going to love you. You may be a difficult person, but now I know who I am, and I'm going to give myself permission to love you. Whether you love me back or not doesn't even matter. You still want to be my enemy? Okay, I'm going to protect myself. But my sword is, I'm going to love you no matter what. And it's not easy to do. But that's what I feel like we do. We arm people with these swords of compassion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And I think the hardest part about that, Corinne, is loving no matter what. Because it's easy to love people that are like us and that we get along with, right? But when they make choices that we don't agree with, or they look differently than we do, or we were taught or brought up to stay away from people that look like that, then, how do you
start questioning those?
Yeah, you start
questioning those conditionings, don't you? Right. You start questioning that as you do that self-examination, and you look at the other person now and you think, wait a minute, people, we know what we know. We know what our experiences are, right? And then this person has had a totally different experience. And when you start learning more about them and you realize they are really just like you, but they've had a whole set of experiences that have pushed them down this road or caused them to react this way. And what's so fascinating is all the different people that we've had the opportunity to share this curriculum with of self-renewal is just, I love seeing those aha moments when people think, oh, I never thought of it that way before. Oh, I never realized that about myself. And it's a very powerful and beautiful thing. And it makes it just a little bit easier. It's still not easy, but it makes it just a little easier to love that person who is really a bit of a stinker, or maybe something worse than a stinker. And so it's really a fascinating journey. This whole
the
thing.
assumptions, even, it's
Where
not just when someone does something blatantly wrong, right? We can kind of justify it to ourselves to not love them. Not that it's okay, but it, makes it easier to justify. And then we tell somebody else and they nod their head. Oh yeah, that person. Oh, I agree. Right. But I think the tricky part comes into play when we make assumptions about others.
Oh, yes.
They may not have done anything, but we're making up this story. We're creating this story in our head. And I talked about this last week on this video series that I did, releasing the stories that we create, because it's toxic. It is toxic. It really is. And it damages our relationships.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's why Valerie started with, the idea of wonder. Don't assume
that, there you go.
Right, we wonder about people. So I as y'all are talking, and I'm also watching the chat here, and talking about the sword. Unquestionable love, Reverend Rodney put there. A sword of understanding is faith based on truth, and I have to say, it's just clearer for me that it's both my sword and my shield at the same time.
Yeah.
Is my vulnerability. And I know that may sound crazy, but I feel like it is that I'm willing to share who I am, to be authentic and to be vulnerable. And maybe in that way, it not that it throws people off, but that they don't have to have the guard.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they have to put the resistance to me, because I'm just being me. I'm just, just telling you, I just want to love people. I'm not here to be on one side or another. I have people in my family that are on opposite sides of the political spectrum, right? I'm a person of color in a family of law enforcement officers. it's, you know, I'm all of it. I'm all of it. And so that's my sword, and it's my shield as well, is just to, you know, I don't, my faith, maybe that's a part of it. I'm sure that's a part of it too, is that
Mm-hmm.
I just go where I know that I am led and I am guided. And I know that as long as I am doing what is mine to do, I'm protected.
Right.
Right. Right. I agree. I think so yeah, I'd like to say maybe my faith is my shield. And I like how you brought up the vulnerability. Let's bring Brene Brown into the house here.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great TED talk if you want to watch one. Her talk on vulnerability, that you allow, when you're vulnerable, you allow other people to be vulnerable as well.
Mhm.
And but my faith, we're on a spiritual broadcast, so let's talk about that a little bit. Understanding, this whole idea of wonder is a beautiful thing, and also knowing that we are all one. You take off this, I don't know if you want to call it a little meat suit, whatever you want to call it, that we are all just beautiful souls, and we're all on different journeys. And what's wonderful is you can look at someone else's journey and go, I don't think I would, that's not my journey. And in fact, I don't think I would ever want to be on that journey, but I respect that it's yours. And, and it's okay to say, you do your journey over there. I'll
Yeah.
do mine over here. It doesn't mean we have to be a part of everyone's journey. So we'll get that out there. But I love looking at us, that we are just one human family, and we are all these beautiful souls that come from the same source, and trying to figure it out, trying to live our journey. And then, of course, just to throw in there too, sometimes something that looks absolutely awful could have the most beautiful outcome. And let's look at Valerie Kaur. What she went through herself, her personal story, as well as the story of her Sikh community. Um, the beautiful result is Valerie herself, that she's got this revolutionary love project, and she's making tremendous strides in See No Stranger, and it's just, it always amazes me, out of something terrible can also come something beautiful. And so having that faith to know that I'm right where I need to be, and I'm on my journey and I'm going in the right direction, that's a great shield or armor or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm. Yeah. And I would add to that honoring other people's journey means that you have to detach and let go
Yes.
of where they are in their journey. Because
Mhm.
when I first started helping people, whether it was domestic violence victims, Wear Gloves, who
Yeah.
serves the homeless and those that are in danger of becoming
Mhm.
homeless, it can elicit this rescue response. This, I have to fix your life.
Yeah.
I know
Right.
what's missing. I know what you need. And so I want to come in and I want to rescue you.
Mhm.
And
That's
that,
tempting.
yeah, that's not necessarily what
No.
what is best. And so not just honoring that person, but honoring where they are on their journey.
Right.
And
Right.
for me, it's a lot harder to do with people that are real close to me than
Yeah.
it is
Oh.
someone that is a little farther out of my circle, right? So if I
Mhm.
have a close friend, a family member,
Mhm.
and they're going through a rough time, or perhaps they're going through something that I've been through, been there, done that, I just want to jump in. I want to tell them what to do, right? I want to
Right.
tell them what to do. And you're not doing them any favors. And you're not, like you
Right.
said, Corinne, you're not ultimately loving them by
Right.
doing that.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to be willing to step back and let them go through the fire.
So the
You do, and
boundaries,
you know what? Yes.
I
Oh,
was
go
going to
ahead,
say,
Cindy.
the boundaries become that shield. This is acceptable. This is yours. This is mine.
Right.
Understanding how to
Right.
set our boundaries. You know, we are at time. And
I know, I'm looking.
it goes so fast. It goes so
It
fast.
does.
So we need to wrap it up. And I'm so grateful for you ladies to share your hearts and your passions. And maybe as we close out, that last piece is your community. So maybe shout out to your community, whoever those are, and we'll close out. So who's your community? Who are your people, Jeanne?
Do
Who
you
do you
want me to
fight
name
for?
names?
Just in general, I guess, if you want.
Okay, well, my Ignite team,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we have mostly ladies. We have had some gentlemen join us, and men are always welcome. But yeah, shout out to the Ignite team. And if anyone listening wants to be part of the Ignite team, please go to igniteforocala.com, shoot us a message and let us know, because we love what we do. We're passionate about what we do, and we're always looking for more people to join us. So I'm just so grateful. They're my tribe. You know, they really are my tribe. I'm not from Ocala. I wasn't born and raised here. I haven't been here a long time. When you come to a small community like this, it's hard to find your tribe, because
Yeah.
tribes have already been established and formed. So you're an outsider for sure coming in. And when I created Ignite, little did I know I was creating my tribe. So it's a beautiful thing. And thank you for inviting me to be here.
Thanks, Jeanne.
That's beautiful, Jeanne. Thank you. You know, it's funny you talk about coming to Ocala. I'm in Miami currently, and this is where I grew up. So I came from here to Ocala, and it took forever to find a tribe. I did find my soccer tribe, so okay, we did that. And so for all the soccer ladies out there, shout out to you, because you guys helped me find that. They actually helped find my strength, helped me find my physical strength, which also helped with my voice. But my tribe is Circle Up, Center for Practical Peace Building. Those are my peeps. Those are my people. I love them. So if you're interested in being a peace builder and joining our team, or just taking one of our classes, circleupcenter.org is our website. And I'll let Cindy give her, the other website that she's part of, which I am too. But for me, the Circle Up Center for Practical Peace Building. Shout out to all of you.
Yes.
Love all you guys.
And you know who my tribe is, right? CSL Ocala. It's our, my tribe is that's part of this journey that I've been on. My tribe started as my family, right? Fighting for my family. Now my tribe is bigger. Now it's everybody's family. It's all of our families. So my tribe is much bigger, but my inner circle is the people I have chosen in my spiritual community. Susan Allen said, our chosen or our heart family are the people we surround ourselves with for support and unconditional love. And so thank you, ladies, both, for being part of my tribe.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work that you are doing. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
All righty. Another great conversation. Thank you for being with us. We're going to go into the next portion of our time together today, our little gathering, and that is sharing our gifts and tithes. So, we've got so much big news here at the Center for Spiritual Living. We are getting ready right now for our grand reopening. Let me get rid of this here because I want to share with you the website of what's happening. We are going to be reuniting, coming together again in person, the second Sunday of June. That's what we're calling it. I don't remember the name, but let me see if I can pull this up here. Or maybe my tech guy can pull it up. Let's share screen. And never mind, cancel. Let me just tell you about it. So we will be meeting at what used to be the Ocala Ballroom. that is now got another name. It is the Showcase Event Center on Magnolia Avenue in downtown Ocala. And that is where we are going to have our reuniting again the second Sunday of June, which I believe is the 13th. So just be on the lookout for more information. We're very, very excited, and so many great things going on here. So let me go back here to the sharing of our gifts and tithes. So yes, we still have our building, and we are getting ready to open our building so that the Aura Clubhouse can come in here and share our space. And so there are some expenses that have been involved with that, a little bit more than we were anticipating. So if you find it in your hearts to share, we would gladly receive your gifts and tithes. So our affirmation, please make this your own. It is the nature of life to give of itself. As it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom, it is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am grateful. And we know that as we give, we receive. So if it's money that you need to have more of, give some seed money. If it is friendship that you're missing, go out there and be a friend, volunteer someplace, put yourself out there. Whatever it is that you put out is going to come back to you tenfold. So I invite you, if it's not the Center for Spiritual Living that you want to give someplace. Give someplace. Give to the place where your heart is moved to give. And I think that is it. Let me take a look at the comments, see if there's anything else. Yes, we will be meeting on Zoom, our usual meeting right after service. Check out the chat for the link to that Zoom conversation. And it usually starts right after this, about 4 o'clock. We'll be gathering again, and it goes anywhere from a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. It depends on whatever is going on and whatever you want to share. If you have maybe some prayer requests, or if you would like to talk about the topic that we discussed today, or want to find out what's going on with our reopening, come and join us on Zoom. We'd love to see you. And so we'll close out with this prayer for protection that comes from James Dillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And I affirm as you go through this week that God is right where you are, and that any challenges, any things that may be in front of you, know that you have everything, absolutely everything you need to get through on the other side. And I just wish the best for all of you. Have a very happy Memorial Day weekend. Love and blessings.